Guys and girls, what is going on? Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday evening, May 14th. We're gonna talk about some interesting stuff tonight, you guys, with our special guest, Mr. Michael MAS8705 over on Twitter. We're talking about Square Enix and all the craziness that's been going on with them selling their really popular franchises to another company. We're gonna talk about that. Also the Jim Ryan email, we're gonna jump into that as well. Some controversy that's been happening with him. We're also gonna jump into some other Nintendo Switch 2 news, you guys. For my Nintendo fans out there, we're gonna be talking about what we can expect from Switch 2, and also Silent Hill fans unite. We got some crazy Silent Hills news to talk about, you guys. It's gonna be interesting. Thank you so much for being here, and we're gonna be back right after this intro. Shazam! Mr. Michael, how are you doing, man?
I am doing well, and you?
Good, bro. Good. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, man. Appreciate you. We also got our cool YouTube viewers up in the house. We got fellow moderator Annabelle Montoya. Thank you so much for moderating the chat. Gina, baby, what's going on? Walter Zamples, what's going on, man? You guys are here to have a really cool conversation about the gaming news we heard about this week. How's your week been, man? How's everything been? I haven't heard from you in it's been like what, a couple of like 3 weeks, I think.
I feel like it's been about 2-3 weeks, yeah. And honestly, during that time, I decided to go ahead to touch up a few things here and there for my setup. If you go ahead to compare the last times we spoke, you will see that I have updated a few things. I've moved the mic out of position so that it's not in the camera, but also just to hopefully make it so that I sound a little bit better. My face is actually coming in clear, so that's nice.
Hey,
And
we're making progress, Michael.
yeah. No, if anything else, definitely slowly building up my courage to be able to hopefully start streaming one day. But until then, at least making those small investments to hopefully be able to do a touch better for myself, hopefully in due time.
You guys in the chat, do you think Michael's ready to go, man? Do you guys like Michael's new setup? Let us know, man. Let us know. I also need to know what else I need to change to build up like my streams too, because like I've been doing it for like a year and a half, but I still need some tips from y'all. So I do know I need to work out. Okay, there's somebody that jumped in last week and was like, yo man, you're getting a little chubby, and I know I am, but I'm working on it, guys. And I also want to start a weight loss stream pretty soon. I need to lose some pounds, man. Like there's a certain point where the COVID weight is not gonna be an excuse anymore. You know what I mean? Like everyone's probably like, if you know somebody that gained weight and they look at you right square in the eyes and they say it's COVID, it was COVID. That excuse is becoming a little bit old now, right? So I'm gonna slim up, guys. Ugh.
Just give it some time. You've done it plenty of times before. You'll be able to do it again. No sweat.
What games have you been playing, man?
Right now that everything's been slow on the gaming front for me. Just been enjoying a touch of Warframe. Been slowly trying to finish up Strangers of Paradise. I actually just finished Psychonauts 2 recently, so that was fun.
Oh, you finished it. Nice. That's one of the games on the backlog for me, man.
Oh yeah, no, that was on the backlog for me for some time. I got like close to near the end of the game, and then I just put it down for like a few months, and it was like, huh, I really should go ahead and finish that game. Not because it's a good game, but I also need to clear up some space in the Xbox as well, so. Yeah, no, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna finish this game, I'm gonna enjoy it, and yeah, sure enough, I got it all squared away now, so I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you guys who in the chat has played the Psychonauts 2, really fun game. I loved the first one that came out like what, freaking 20 years ago?
Oh yeah, no, it was a
I
long time
mean,
ago.
like
Yeah, no,
18.
original Xbox, PlayStation 2. You can still technically download on PC if you want to, but boy, is it dated.
Walter says it's above 90 degrees here. Oh my heavens to Betsy. I think it's about that temperature around us, right, Michael?
Yeah, we live in a desert. We cook over here.
Yeah, we live in a desert, so it's like always freaking 90 degrees, man. We have 2 seasons. I'm convinced we have only 2 seasons over here, winter and summer.
Yeah, no, either we're boiling in the lava or we're freezing cold. There's no in between here.
Parajess, thank you so much for being here with us. Fellow moderator, thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Thank you very much, Modest, for all you do.
Also, what I want to ask anyone in the chat, have you guys played the Evil Dead game? Because I was asking Michael last night if I should make the jump, if I should buy it. It's something I love, like horror games, and the thing is, I've never really played an Evil Dead game, so I wanted to jump in on it, but it's giving me a lot of it's giving me like a lot of Dead by Daylight feels. I don't know if Michael had the same reaction to that.
Since we talked about the other day, I did look into it a bit further, and from what I could tell, mind you, this is like what I was able to look up. I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but apparently people are saying it's like Dead by Daylight, but better. So
okay,
that's
Dead
already
by Daylight,
kind of like a... Yeah, so that's kind of somewhat already a ringing endorsement right there. Although, the problem though is that because that the game just came out and, you know, it just came out on the weekend, I don't really know if people have been given the early access to the game yet. So, for all we know, we may not be finding out what the majority of the industry or people playing think of how it plays out until we wait a couple more days until reviews get posted up, feedbacks, opinions, and all that fun stuff.
I was
But
seeing.
so far, first opinions have been pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I was seeing like the trailer for it and actually some playthroughs on YouTube, and I have to. I'm a sucker for like the gory kills. That who's the main protagonist for Evil Dead? I know his face, but huh?
Ash Williams by Bruce
Ash
Campbell.
Williams, yeah, Bruce Campbell. There we go. I know his face. I just didn't remember his name. So like, there's a lot of like gory kills in that game, and I was already like when they showed that in the trailer, I was already in. You know what I mean? But then I was like, okay, I gotta chill a little bit. I gotta wait to see if it's worth my hard-earned money. But it's looking pretty fun, man. The thing is there an audience for Evil Dead right now? For that game?
I'm sure that there has to be something, because I know that for the asymmetrical horror, that's been kind of slowly on the rise as of late. And it's kind of weird because for some reason I cannot play horror games because they scare the hell out of me. But asymmetrical games are just delightful because it's, you know, more kind of a game of tag than it is a horror game. You know, it's like you're not really worried that, you know, you're trying to hide from Jason. You're just, you know, hiding against whoever is playing as Jason or whoever the killer is for Dead by Daylight. But yeah, no, overall though, I think that it's an interesting genre, and I know that there's still more that's coming in. I remember that there's one called VHS, which is another asymmetrical horror. But yeah, no, I really hope that we do start to see even more of these games pop out, because it's always nice to have that variety come in to go ahead and hopefully broaden out and showcase the joys of what can be done with the genre, and hopefully not just another Fortnite clone, or I don't want to say Fortnite clone. I stumbled on Battle Royale.
Yeah. Oh man, Fortnite. Woo boy. Nothing against those Fortnite streamers, but
yeah, well, I mean, Fortnite is literally the biggest crossover that you could think of nowadays.
yeah.
And it seems like you could name like any fictional character, and chances are that if you name 10 of them, 9 of them are probably in Fortnite by now. I think I just found out that RoboCop, I think, also just got into Fortnite, or is about to come into Fortnite.
What the hell? RoboCop?
I mean, mind you, I don't know if it's like something that was leaked or someone just made a really good-looking Fortnite RoboCop, but I think that I saw RoboCop for whatever reason in Fortnite. He goes really well with Rio and Naruto, I'll have you know.
That new character for Apex Legends I thought was RoboCop, but then like I saw the intro for him and he takes off his mask. I was like, oh no, it's just another guy in a suit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's been interesting to see how that's been unfolding as well for the various arena shooters as well between Apex, Valorant, even Overwatch 2 making a grand return after all these years, and kind of leaving people a touch iffy on it. But hopefully, before the actual game comes out, hopefully the beta will shape itself to be a touch better than it is at the moment.
Ah, yes, Overwatch 2. It's looking very similar to another
Yeah,
game, which is Overwatch 1. But you know, to be fair, I haven't played the beta. Did you get a chance to play the beta?
no, I don't. It's only on PC right now, and I was playing Overwatch on Xbox myself, so I know that if there's a beta for Overwatch 2, I'm not getting into it anytime soon.
Silly Alberto, what's going on, my friend? Thank you so much for hitting up the chat. Junkie, welcome back, man. Says, I need a new internet provider. Yes, I do.
Yeah. I don't know why Spectrum seems to be a touch iffy at times, but yeah, no, Spectrum be iffy sometimes.
But a big shout out to Spectrum because the gentleman who came to fix my internet was really freaking cool, guys. So like
Yeah.
I have social anxiety, so it's very hard for me to communicate with people sometimes, especially like if it's at my home. And he made me feel like really comfortable. I mean, me and him like hit it off, and that's pretty rare for me to hit it off with like strangers. So that was pretty cool. So a big shout
Yeah.
out to them. But you know, hopefully they
People who, oh, sorry.
no,
Yeah,
go
no, the
ahead.
people who do go ahead and come over from Spectrum, the people who do repair, they're really nice guys, and they're very straightforward with how things are done. And I know that, at one time or another, my aunt, who I go ahead and watch during the days that I'm here, that, she's very computer lacking or lacks the ability for computers. And I know that whenever like something goes up, she usually has to add the guy who usually stops by to repair the internet or repair the television, the phones or whatever.
Yeah.
Because yeah, no, the service it can be a touch iffy at times, but the people who come over to the houses to repair the stuff, great set of people. We always give them water. They do good jobs.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I gave my the person who came like a rock star. He was like, "Oh man, I quit this," but I was like, it's not gonna hurt." But then hopefully I
It's 5
didn't.
o'clock somewhere, right, Matt?
Yeah. I opened my fridge and he was like, "God dang, man, you got like 24 pack of Rockstar," and I was like, "Yes, sir, I do."
Yeah. No, honestly though, for what you were mentioning for earlier about needing to lose weight, I mean, obviously you could tell by me, I'm not exactly, you know, not to imply anything, but I know that for my family, it's like they tell me, you need to stop drinking these. You're getting so much sugar in your systems.
Guys in
You
the
be
chat,
slimmer.
everyone here in the chat, like let me know if you know at least one good friend that can drink Coca-Cola without fearing of gaining weight. I was Michael, man. You gotta. I don't know, man. Your metabolism is pretty damn good.
I must have done something right growing up. Who knows? But
Yeah,
no,
and
all the same though, chat. If you know any good other drinking alternatives, I'm all ears because I admit I need to cut these out. And yet I have a 24 pack of Cokes off to the side that I'm hiding off camera so that no one sees it.
yeah, and to my fellow chubsters out there, guys, man, don't let it get you down, bro. Like, just do you do you, okay? The reason I want to lose weight is for like health reasons. It's not to try to impress anyone else. That's the reason I'm trying to get like on a diet and stuff. So
Yeah, nothing wrong with being healthy for sure.
yeah, be
So
healthy
it's gonna be healthy.
and be happy. That's the important thing.
Yep.
Silly Albert, Junkie says, I'm still 110. Junkie, man, you're skinny, bro. Silly Alberto says,
I'm
yeah.
not testing myself. I'm of average weight. I'd like to think myself. Sheesh.
Junkie, 110, bro. How tall are you, if you want to share? Silly Alberto says, yeah, and have you guys got the code CE10? Oh, we got a super chat from J Bay. Let's go, baby. 1999. J Bay, thank you so much for the support, man. J Bay, an awesome supporter that's been here since the beginning. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate that. Silly Alberto says, yeah, and have you guys got the code CE108262? What the fudge? For the PS5 report problem. Nah, dude, I've been doing good with my PS5. Have you seen anything with that error code, Michael?
I'm looking it up right now as we speak, just to see what it's about.
That's news to Silly Alberto. What's going on with their PS5, man?
There may be a problem reading system software or application data. Please update system software and application to the latest version. Okay, so, I mean, mind you, I haven't heard much talk about this at the moment. I don't know if it was as bad as the issue with Microsoft had the last time we spoke. Or no, not when we last spoke, the other week when you spoke with Tracker, when Microsoft was running into a touch of network issues.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, mind you, I don't think that it's as bad because I don't think Twitter has blown itself up yet again today, but the hell knows that Twitter had one heart attack after another this week.
Oh boy, and we're definitely gonna jump into like a lot of the stories that made its rounds via Twitter. And believe it or not, you guys, it doesn't involve Elon Musk. It's actually
even though that technically the purchase is on hold at the moment.
It is. Wait, do you think that tweet that he sent out was like a troll tweet though? The one where
really
he
know
wanted
how Elon Musk works.
the-
Elon Musk is, mind you, that he has a certain way of thinking, and I could go ahead and relate to that, unfortunately, for better or worse. And honestly, I'm at that point where it's like, you do not try to decipher what goes in the mind of Elon Musk, because if you do, you're only going to be met with madness.
Yeah, definitely, man. Elon Musk teasing this week that he was going to put the purchase on hold because of the report that he received right by Twitter about the amount of bots being less than 5%.
Something like that, where it's like there's way too many bots, and how the idea for bots can be able to screw up the ad revenue, or the idea for being able to shoot out ads, because why would you give bots ads if the bots could really care less about whatever you're trying to shoot to them, or something along those lines. All I know is that it's just been one crazy roller coaster right after another this week, and it's definitely been one of those weeks, that's for sure.
Jucky mentioning Square Enix. Wow, Square Enix will focus on Final Fantasy for 2022-2023 coming soon, and that's the perfect segue because that's where we're gonna start tonight's discussion with Square Enix. We they've been on the news on the gaming news websites this week, and we're gonna start with Babylon's Fall. Michael, did you purchase, or anyone in the chat, did you guys buy Babylon's Fall?
Well, I mean, obviously I didn't touch the game myself because...
Oh, you didn't even like...
I keep saying Xbox, but technically, even if PlayStation was the only console I had on me, chances are I probably would not have looked towards Babylon's Fall because of how it kind of felt really lackluster, for lack of a better way to put it. And mind you, it is kind of unfortunate too when you go ahead and consider that as of late, Square Enix has not had the best track record. Of course, we're going to cover all that here in just a bit, but on the front of live service games, that if you're not Final Fantasy 14, you have basically crushed and burned, unfortunately. Because between Avengers, Outriders, and Babylon's Fall, that is sadly 1 and 3. I would say 0 and 3, but again, I have to give credit to Final Fantasy 14.
I loved Outriders, though.
Well, I mean, Outriders is okay, but it's like, for a live service game to try to go ahead and get you into what I would assume to be like a Gears of War alternative, for some reason it didn't click with me, and I did try to jump in a couple of times to try to get invested in Outriders, but every time I did, I just found myself just reminding myself that, okay, yeah, I could be playing better games than this.
Wow.
And if you can turn it around, by all means, I'll give it another shot. It is still on Game Pass right now, so technically I have not lost money to Outriders, thankfully, but I mean, I still have Outriders installed on the system right now. I don't have Avengers. I got rid of that a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. And, I did actually enjoy Avengers to a certain point, but then, yeah, Avengers, not so much, but let us know in the chat, you guys, did you enjoy Avengers or Outriders? Outriders was really fun to me. and it did want to be like a Gears of War clone, but I think they did it really good. It was a really fast-paced game. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of Doom a little bit, but like in a third-person duck and cover kind of way. You had to
Yeah.
always be like rapidly like involved in
Moving around.
the battles.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess that was another reason why I found myself getting a touch turned off. I mean, mind you, that probably that's how the game was designed, but I know that for me, I just kind of did not like the idea for the cover system because it's like, it's almost like if you go into cover, the game punishes you for going into cover by tossing a grenade by your foot. And it's like, you know, obviously that's, you know, the game does not want you to go ahead and be hiding in one corner the entire time during a gunfight. That's understandable, but I feel like that it's just kind of unfortunate that you can never be able to just have cover for yourself because there's always a grenade that will be by your foot the moment you try to hide behind something.
Rerum Trading, thank you so much for the 9th like, my friend. Are you gonna be streaming later tonight, man? Let me know. And so I have to say I didn't hear anything about Babylon's Fall. I think their marketing was pretty bad on it, but looking at an article on rockpapershotgun.com, well, this, I mean, the story is going to a lot of different websites, but I'm looking at this article right now. We spoke to the only person who was still playing Babylon's Fall last week. The concurrent players went down to one person last week. And looking at this article really quick, they say Square Enix and Platinum Games' troubled action RPG Babylon's Fall sank to a concurrent PC player count of just one when the clock struck midnight on Wednesday. Despite only launching a little over 2 months ago, it's a dire state of affairs for a multiplayer-focused online service game. But what exactly is it like to play a game like this on your own? Well, the people over on rockpapershotgun.com found out. They interviewed the last person on the service who was playing on Wednesday. They found out that a lone warrior keeping Babylon's Fall alive and sat down to have a conversation with him, and exactly what they were up to when they found themselves the only living inhabitant in its Tower of Babel. So this is Dashiell Wood on Twitter is his handle, and he actually got interviewed. It wasn't entirely surprising to find out that the individual drawn to this game worked in the field in some way. Dashiell Wood, who actually is a writer for esports site Gfinity in the UK, popped his hand up on Twitter over the weekend to claim the honor of being Babylon Fall's most dedicated player when the game's exceedingly low player count came to light. They asked him, what's the appeal of Babylon's Fall? He responded, I suppose the appeal is its unpopularity. Despite being an MMO, no one is really talking about it, and I don't imagine many people have even played it. When you factor in the fact that you can finish the vast majority of the game's content solo, there's something appealing about being one of the few to experience it. It may not be a good experience, he goes on to say, but it's very well unique. You know what, dude? I gotta give it up to him, man. He found joy in this game, and the fact that he was kind of not supported by a lot of other players, I can totally relate to that. And when I say that, is that I'm into games. Sometimes I find myself into games that a lot of people out there don't share the same love for. But he's alone in this, which kind of sucks. But if he can find someone else out there that enjoys the same experience as him, and it all goes down to like the individual. And I've always said, when we talked about last week, that a game is never really dead if somebody out there is enjoying it. I give him a lot of props, man.
Yeah,
That's
for
really
sure.
cool. He found joy in it. He's enjoying it. He's enjoying the experience, and I think that's all that matters is if he's still having fun with it.
Yeah, right now that's, for him to be able to go ahead to still keep pushing through to be able to play the game, cool deal and all. And I'm glad that he's been able to find the enjoyment that literally everyone else has not been able to find. But, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
a
still
lot of
kind of
other
a
people.
concern though, because, yeah, no, I've been actually looking up a few things for Babylon's Fall for what other people have been talking about, writing about. Other people who had, completed the game fully while also offering their thoughts on how everything was brought together and how it just kind of fell apart as it did. The fun history of how Babylon's Fall was basically reusing a good chunk of Final Fantasy XIV assets, including for even the Near Automata crossover, which was basically just the exact same stuff carried over. That, it's kind of unfortunate too that Platinum Games really wanted to try to make this work, but unfortunately they came up short yet again. And how, beyond everything else, that it's just kind of unfortunate that all this has been kind of happening. And unfortunately for Square, that, obviously they may not have a hand in the development of Babylon's Fall, but it still makes them look a touch bad with everything else that's been going on.
That's true, man. That's very true. It kind of sucks that, I mean, obviously the majority of gamers don't support Babylon's Fall anymore, and it only makes business sense that they saw it as a failure. But I actually was thinking of another example that I had with the 360 game called Brutal Legend. And guys, let me know in the chat if you guys have played Brutal Legend. It was seen as kind of like a commercial flop, but I actually enjoyed that hell out of that game. And if you guys play, it's backwards compatible right now on Xbox Series X. If you guys go online right now, there's actually, you can still connect multiplayer to it, and I was surprised to know that somebody out there actually was still playing the game. This happened to me like a couple of weeks ago, and me and him, we actually started talking about it, and we're like, man, it's crazy. I didn't expect anyone else to be playing it. Me and him are probably the only two people left on the earth playing the multiplayer part of that game. But it just goes to show you that, like, there's always going to be someone out there that's enjoying the game play, so don't really necessarily let like the critics or like the majority of people, I guess, sway your opinion of it. If you're enjoying it, then go for it. But it, like Michael said, it does suck that the support isn't there anymore. Let us know in the chat if you guys enjoyed Babylon's Fall. I would love to hear from you all. But you know what, Square Enix has also been in the news lately about something else that they did recently. Square Enix.
Yeah, well, just really fast before we touch that off, just to mention one other Square Enix related thing.
Yeah.
Who here has heard of the game, the brilliant masterpiece game that is known as Balan Wonderworld?
Oh, Balan Wonderworlds.
A game that is so amazing that all the buttons do the exact same thing. Mind you, though, if you know about Babylon's Fall, obviously you do know for all the faults that it has, but yeah, no, Square definitely didn't do themselves so many favors either there, because as of late, they have actually done a fun little tidbit as well about how they would be recommending the game to anyone who wants to go ahead and enjoy a masterpiece, if you will. I mean, mind you, I don't know for a masterpiece in itself, but yeah, I don't really know why, but for some reason, Square Enix is giving a vote of confidence in Balan Wonderworld, in spite of how the game is really not that good.
And this came right after the original director of Balan Wonderworld, Yuji Naka, filed a lawsuit against them, right? Saying that he was unfair, or he was dismissed, but he wasn't given a chance to kind of work on the game more. So I feel like it was a weird way that they responded, saying like, oh no, it's good, the game's good. But I'm not too familiar with that. Michael, fill us in on like what they're saying about Balan Wonderworlds.
Just need to go ahead and just pull it up here really fast. I'm not going to go ahead and go too deep into it, but basically that the whole thing that's been going around is Square Enix says that Balan Wonderworld is a game that it recommends with confidence. And, for as strange as that sounds, many would say confidence, many would say incompetence, but well, I mean, I'm saying incompetence myself, but I mean, and the sad thing is that yeah, no, the game did go through a bit of development hell, it seems, alongside with any other game that had recently come out into 20s. But beyond that, though, unfortunately, there was so many things that just went wrong with this game, unfortunately. And yet,
Yeah.
between all that, that apparently for what was being mentioned, Square Enix confirms that Naka had a lawsuit case with the company, but wouldn't give any details about it. However, according to Bloomberg's Takashi Mochizuki, probably butchered the name, sorry. Square Enix also commented on Bound Wonderworld itself, saying, it is a game we recommend with confidence. And part of me feels like that anyone who read that would probably be bursting in laughter, unfortunately, because yeah, no, unfortunately the game was not exactly in any state where confidence would be the word you would describe it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So guys, in the chat, if you've played Balan's Wonderworld, let us know. Does Square Enix have a point? Is it they're saying basically that some people who worked on it are talking crap about it, but we know that it's probably the director who is filing the lawsuit against them. They're kind of placing the blame on some of the people or the developers or some of the people that worked with the project, that they're saying that the game isn't that fun, but Square Enix is claiming there's a lot of players out there that really enjoy it. That I thought that was kind of an interesting response on their part. Jason Bourne says, boo Matt. Why are you booing me, Jason? Says, I do own an Xbox and it sucks. Why does it suck, Jason? Let us know in the chat, my friend. LERA, what's going on? LERA says it's not my fault with a grain of salt. Jason Bourne, I'm actually going to be destroying a Halo Xbox soon. Jason, you said that since last year, man. I told you make a video on it and we'll look at it. Ellie says it sucks. Ellie just straight up said it sucked. What?
I mean, I can't think of a better way to describe it, unfortunately, because I try my best to not be negative, but
Yeah.
it's like at other times though, it's like, yeah, no, you have to be brutally honest sometimes, and it's like, yeah, unfortunately, Bound Wonderworld was not in the best state, and it felt like that everything with the game just felt like it was done incorrectly, and who knows if they could have fixed up the game maybe to try to make it more feasible, by all means, but unfortunately, though, the game itself was just a hot mess, unfortunately.
Para just says, Jason, why give the Xbox to Matt? Yeah, give it to me, dude. Don't destroy it. Give it to me, man. The only one I was able to get, I gave away last year on the channel. So yeah, give it here.
Yeah,
man.
but anyway, let's move away from Bound Wonderworld. I feel like that we can only say Bound World sucks in so many ways until it starts to get repetitive.
Bound
But
World
yeah, no,
sucks. It really, really sucks.
Yeah. But anyway, though, for what you were about to say, for the other fun things that Square has been having as of late, if we may or may not have covered it on the channel.
Yes. No, we haven't, man. They sold Studios Crystal Dynamics, Idols Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. They sold it to the company Embracer, a European game publisher called Embracer. So with that sale, went along huge IPs like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Legacy of Kain, man. That's insane.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's not the part that I find to be the most insane. I find the price tag to be what's insane. Because when you go to think about all the prices that's been going on as of late for all these big acquisitions, Activision being sold for almost $69 billion, Bungie being for $5 billion, for all these big name companies that used to be under Square Enix, and has Tomb Raider alongside with all these big things, what was their big price tag?
300 million, right?
They're cheap.
They're cheap. Yeah, as compared to the billions. So basically, they are saying that Tomb Raider. My gosh, man, it's okay. Like, I was already surprised by the fact that Deus Ex was included, but Tomb Raider for 300 million, dude. Holy crap!
Apparently, Square thinks that they could get a good investment out of selling off their companies.
That's
Oh,
insane.
speaking of investments, did you want to read the part where they were selling it off, so to speak?
No, go for it. Go for it.
For the reason? Well, why would they sell off all these big studios and all these big IPs? The answer? Blockchain.
Blockchain.
Yep.
What the
You
hell?
would think that, yeah, you would think that when Sony at the start of the year, or not Sony, sorry, when Square went ahead to make this big thing at the beginning of the year saying how, yep, we are going to invest into the metaverse, we are going to invest into the blockchains, the NFTs, all this fun digital currency nonsense, that, you know, we thought that they may have either been joking or they would have backed down like so many others, but no, instead we have ran into this fun little scenario where, nope, they literally said that we are selling all these off because we are investing in the blockchain, the AI, the cloud. And it's like,
Man.
why would you? And also the big fun kicker here is that this was like a day before and or after the NFT market crashed.
Holy crap. So they're basically saying that they're doubling down on that, right? I mean, isn't that something that EA is doing?
Well, I mean, I don't know about EA specifically. I think that EA has kept their mouth shut as far as the NFTs go.
Yeah.
And they have other things that they're worried about at the moment too. But no, as far as the big NFT push, if you will, EA has been strangely silent about that. That it seems like the only companies that are really bothering to actually look into NFTs at this point, or the whole thing for that, is only just Square Enix and Ubisoft. Everyone else has either backed down or has been quiet about. Or if they have talked about, they say that, you know, we are interested in what the potential is going to be as for how we're going to implement it. You know, we're not going to do it until we know. And of course, how the hell would you implement it in the gaming world?
Right.
Because
yeah.
I know that because I did mention this with you last night about how, for some bizarre reason, whenever I go ahead to talk about NFTs on the social media, whether if it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, I always seem to get this one person, and it's always a different person, mind you, but I always get this one person who always calls me out saying that, oh yeah, you just don't get it. The catchphrase of those who invest in the NFTs, that it's literally the Bart Simpson say the line, you just don't get it.
It's
and
crazy.
It's like, yeah, of course I don't get it, because it's like, you're telling me I need to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in something here. And, you know, I guess people love their hundreds of $1,000 worth of Bored Apes or whatever, but I don't really know how this would be implemented in, yeah, the call of the NFT bros, exactly, Ellie. That I don't exactly know how you would go ahead to implement it into the world of video games and make it feasible enough, because it's like, you know, for what Ubisoft was doing previously, to go on a slight tangent, what Ubisoft was doing was that they had like the whole face mask thing for Breakpoint that they were trying to sell. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's interesting and all. However, they're going to have to invest time and money to make sure that whatever NFTs that they invest in, they need to carry it over to other games that they make. Because, you know, it's understandable if, like, say, Ubisoft does their own in-universe NFTs, because, you know, they're the people who are going to have to make it, so they're going to have to design it and do all this random nonsense with it. But, you know, for other games, though, it's like, you know, do you really expect Square Enix to bend the knee to Ubisoft to go to make sure that that faceplate helmet thing gets carried over into one of their games, if that's how that's supposed to work? And it's like, yeah, no, it takes a lot of time to go ahead to, you know, do this. Obviously, game development is not easy. If it was, we would be making our own games right now, but NFTs just kind of take it to the next level. And, you know, if they have cracked the code, good on them, but right now the market says otherwise, unfortunately.
And I mean, let us know in the chat, you guys. The consensus I've been noticing is that they gamers don't want NFTs to like touch anything related to the gaming industry. And it's just funny, like, it goes back to the point where, like, are these major companies really listening to what their clientele wants? I don't know.
Well, I mean, in most cases they have been listening, because there have been those constant posts that we've been getting over the last year or so for people who was like, you know, because of feedback, we decided to bow out from implementing these systems. And it's like, yeah, that's nice and all, but you know, that's not stopping everyone else who's also investing into it.
That's true. That's true, man.
And the best we could do is literally just keep pushing back, because obviously that's the only thing that can be done, because otherwise you literally have something that's horse armor, but even worse than that. Because
Just
at least horse armor only costs you $5. Heaven forbid if they ask you like $1,000 for horse armor in Oblivion. I was gonna say Skyrim, but
yeah, I was about to say, man, you're giving me flashbacks to where Oblivion was. I think Oblivion was credited with being the first game to offer DLC, like priced DLCs.
And mind you, in that case, I could understand for that part specifically, because you could say FOMO, or you could say like, players actually do care how their in-game avatar looks. Because, it's like, yeah, you could go look like a soldier, or you could go ahead and look like Rick from Rick and Morty while you're shooting other people. Or, hey, you could look like a Titan in Call of Duty while you're shooting Godzilla in the face. I don't know.
It's the same, and this is the thing where like there was a lot of pushback against like paid for like having to pay for stuff like that, like special skins, but now it's embraced. A lot of people are like, I was looking at the reviews for Resident Evil Village where you can pay $5 to unlock everything in the game, and rather than having to grind for it, and the reviews are all positive. And like compared that, like those criticisms to like 15 years ago, it would have been unheard of. Like, no, like you need to grind for like these cosmetics and these extra weapons. But now it's looked at like well, it's not that expensive. $5 to unlock everything in Resident Evil Village, that's fine. So it's like yeah.
Yeah, and Ellie did raise up a good point in the chat as well. We did stop microtransactions in time before they became normalized. I think gamers don't want to make the same mistake again. And very fair point, and I would go ahead and agree with you on that. That's for microtransactions, I think that we're just kind of in that day and age to where that's kind of how things unfortunately evolved. But then at the same time, though, it's like, we could either have microtransactions, or we could have like 5 versions of Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 3. Because it's like, we're kind of in that age where it's like games do not get updated with new content, or if they did get new content, you would have to sell the whole game over again. But yeah, no, over time, though, we've been able to work in patches. We've been able to work in microtransactions. All this random stuff that you could get nickel and dime on if you're not careful. And some people do love to go ahead and toss money at that. They want more content in their favorite video game. And mind you, probably would have been slightly better if that was better managed, but obviously it has kind of spiraled out of control as of late.
Jaws.
But yeah, no, but yeah.
Josh Cohen and Josh Hill, I need to welcome you guys. Thank you so much for being here so much. But wrapping up the Square Enix situation, they sold out a lot of they sold a lot of their major IPs, and I just hope that the developers are staying the same, but I hope that their new publisher doesn't hold them back from my god, like the last Tomb Raider and the last Deus Ex were really good games, and I just hope that we don't see any major changes when it comes to the developments of the sequels to those.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see what happens in due time, but right now it's like a lot of people as of late have been kind of celebrating the crash and burn of the NFT market, which, mind you, who knows if there may be a resurgence, but it's kind of clear that we're at that point right now where, a tweet that was sold for $10 billion can't get like $500 back apparently. And it's just been kind of fun to watch just how everything has been kind of blowing up as of late, but who knows how much further it's going to be though. And that, and also the whole thing with NFTs, if you also look at it, because, one part for the impact of the environment and how it's, how many describe it as a Wild West right now, where it's like, you would think that it would be secure, but it isn't. And how it seems to be so easy for certain people to go ahead to literally steal millions upon millions of dollars in Bored Apes or whatever NFT stuff that they could steal. It's kind of funny though, if you look up the tweet, something along the lines of, all my apes are gone. And it's like, yeah, no, you feel sorry for the person that lost the value of millions of dollars, but then at the same time, you literally just told the internet, all my apes are gone. How do you think the internet's gonna react to that? And I'm sorry, but again, that's unfortunately kind of ironically funny.
Gabe, what's going on? Gabe says nothing wrong with paying the $5. There we go. Yeah, I feel you on that.
If you see the value, go for it. But otherwise, you know, some people, they see the value in investing in a game, and other people, not so much. And, you know, honestly, in the end, it's your money. You do what you do with it. But there are going to be other people who will still be pleading for you to not toss money into the loot boxes or the card packs or whatever that it may seem to be. You know, invest your money in something that was more time expensive, if you will. Nothing that seems like it will expire at the end of the year, kind of like a certain other game that's we'll be discussing here in a moment.
Yeah, and my point with I would pay the $5. Hell yeah. The point I was making is that like 15 some years ago, we wouldn't have been saying or not making a big deal about it. I mean, we would have been making a big deal about it 15 years ago because paid content wasn't like as common as it is now. But now it's like $5 is $5, and it's like, you know, with if it's your money, do what you want to do with it for sure. Nonchalant, man, fellow moderator, what's going on, man? Says investment income pipelines are necessary. Given the decline of the stock market, the financial industry is panicking now to find a new thing. NFTs might be it, but they're not gamer centric, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I wrote right under that comment that, you know, NFTs, they can work in other markets, but games and art definitely aren't it. Because, mind you, that there have been some people who have mentioned how, you know, it can work within like the hospital settings or the medical settings where you can sell your information about whatever ailment that's been bringing you down for money. It's like, okay, maybe in that circumstance, I could see that happening. But, you know, I don't see how that transfers over to colorful monkeys or the fancy thing you could go to get in a video game. Hell forbid if it could be transferred, though. Really would be awkward.
Marky Mark says, be right back. Feeding my dogs. They are biting my leg. Ouch! You don't want that, man?
Yeah, no. If you do not feed your dogs, they will let you know one way or another.
My cat freaks out. Like she'll let me know if I don't have her food there, man. Like she'll wake me up at like 2 in the morning. I was playing Apex the other night and she jumped on me like on my shoulder. And then she was like, I'm gonna bite you, but like not hard enough to freak you out. I'm just gonna nibble on you. So it's like she attacks me, but like very graciously, if that makes sense.
Of course, that's their way of saying feed me now.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna make you think I'm gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. But yeah, who knows what the next chapter of Square Enix is gonna be, but I feel like we're not going to reach the end of it anytime soon. Mind you, that's, you know, who knows how Final Fantasy is going to be shaping up for 16 and anything else in relations to that. But it's definitely that whenever that time comes, though, a lot of people are going to be keeping all the other nonsense that Square has been doing in the back of their minds during those announcements for sure.
Jokey says, I see the thong market going up. What? Jokey, I'm not going to do it, man. All right, I'm not gonna wear a thong on live stream. I'm sorry, but I hear what you're saying. Just let me lose a little bit of weight first. You know what I mean? Like to show off
the inspiration. Apparently, Junkie. He needs to get inspired. Apparently.
Yeah.
Honestly, beyond that, I'm gonna say no comment. I don't want to go any further down that rabbit hole than what needs to be.
We're gonna jump into Jim Ryan making some comments recently via a leaked email. I tried for the life of me to track down this email. It simply does not exist on the interwebs. I don't think. I even was like scouring Reddit. If any of you guys have the real email that Jim Ryan sent out to his fellow employees, please let me know on Twitter at 1VideoGameDude, or let Mr. Michael here know. On Twitter, he's at MAS8705. I couldn't track down this freaking email. I want to see it. Because the thing is, like, I want to know if like people interpreted this email the way it's being described online.
Well, here's the problem I have with the email.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because for those who don't know, the whole thing is that Sony PlayStation staff fumes over CEO's abortion comments. Which basically, if you don't know about the current in-world or the real world that's currently happening right now for Roe v. Wade, for the whole thing for abortion rights, how that could get overturned and all that fun stuff. You know, if you think one way or another, all the more power to you. The last thing I want to do is to go to get political, and I'm not going to do it on Matt's time, so that's something else entirely. But for Mr. Ryan, he did go ahead and send an email out, and, you know, obviously we don't have the email in front of us, but he did go ahead to basically paraphrase it. Or I'm going to paraphrase it here in a moment, but basically, this was broke by Bloomberg, by one Jason Schreier. And trying to find the quote here. But
I have it up here real quick. I'm just gonna read out
yeah, sure.
Nonchalant was telling me IGN put out some excerpts from it, but it looks like, I was looking it up, but it looks like Bloomberg is saying the same thing. Some staff at Sony Group Corporation are seething following an email Thursday from the head of PlayStation that urged employees to respect, this is a quote, respect differences of opinion, unquote, on abortion rights before entering into 5 detailed paragraphs about his 2 cats' first birthday. I want to see these paragraphs because, like I said, we're getting a lot of paraphrasing from Bloomberg and also IGN. But anyways, it goes on to say the email opens by addressing several current events, including the recent leak of a draft U.S. Supreme Court opinion that signaled an intention to overturn the landmark 1973 case Roe versus Wade, which legalized abortion nationwide. And like you were saying, Michael, and it's been a big deal, right? Outside of the gaming world, the abortion rights, and it goes back to the 1973 case of Roe versus Wade, which legalized abortion nationwide. Many corporations have felt pressured from their employees to comment on the case, but most video game companies have remained silent on the matter.
Yeah.
Some, go for it.
Well, what I was going to say was that for Jim Ryan, he went ahead to say something along the lines, and mind you, feel free to correct me on this, but he did say to, you know, to paraphrase it, to go to respect all opinions on the subject matter.
Right.
Which basically, if you were to go ahead to have to say something on it, Mr. Ryan chose the correct path, if you will. Because what you do is you do not take a side one way or another. Because if you say that you do support abortion rights, you're going to come under attack by those who do not support it. And if you say if you do not support it, you're going to come under attack by those who do support it. Frankly, it's dancing on the razor's edge, and by taking and saying one thing about it one way or the other, you're basically going to come under attack by either side, and that's just going to look bad for you altogether. Now, mind you, the reason why I'm irritated about this email is that it's an email that is talking about abortion rights, but then he goes into 5 paragraphs about his cats.
Right.
These two things do not match up. It would be like if I was to, like, you know, take this for example, Matt. Let's say, like, we were talking on the week of Ukraine, for Ukraine getting invaded. And then I decided that at this time, I want to talk about my 3 Yorkies in great detail. Of how I have this big Yorkie who still has this long tail, and 2 smaller Yorkies, a brother and a sister together, that my mom adopted at the same time for some bizarre reason. And they're very adorable, I love them, they need to brush their teeth. But you see how these 2 things are not connected with each other.
Yeah, and I think...
And it's like, very jarring that that's the case, and it feels like that, you know, if you want to send out an email talking about, you know, respect the opinions of whoever, that's fine. If you want to send an email out talking about your cats for 5 paragraphs, that's fine. It may not be a good idea to put the 2 together, with all due respect.
Yeah, I think that's what pissed off a lot of people, is that he went on to make an analogy using his cats and birthdays, his cats' birthdays. Ryan then went on to write that he would like to share something lighthearted to help inspire everyone to be mindful of having balance that can help ease the stress of uncertain events, saying it was recently his two cats' first birthdays, and elaborating over the next few paragraphs about his cat's birthday cakes, their noises, and his desire to one day get a dog. But I'm gonna agree with you there, man. It was a weird analogy he was going for, and you don't want to mix like those two things together, because this situation is very important to a lot of people out there. And I think what, like, the way some people are interpreting his email is that he was making it like very lighthearted, but it's a very serious topic. And like you said, I agree with you. I think he shouldn't have combined the same two things together.
Yeah, and again, it's like, again, the whole thing for Roe v. Wade, everyone has their opinions on it, and, unfortunately, I live under the simple ideal of that if you ever want to get into an argument, start talking about religion or politics,
Right.
or console warring. Screw console warring in general. But yeah, no, for Roe v. Wade, that's basically just another political topic that easily could go ahead and get people riled up one way or the other. And again, I'm not going to say anything on it because it's not our place to be discussing U.S. politics in a short video discussing video games. We could, but
Yeah.
that's not why you came here for, everyone. And unfortunately for Jim Ryan, that I understand, like, if there is pressure going around and it has to be addressed, if it has to be addressed. But again, that overall, though, it's like, if you were going to send out the email, you could have just said that. Or if you really did want to, combine abortion rights with cats, maybe you could have just done a quick, one paragraph of the cats saying that, my cats celebrated their birthday. I got them cakes. They're adorable. I love how they meow. I don't know what cat owners would say.
Honestly,
but overall, though, it's like, it should not have made it seem like cats were more important due to how much time you devoted to cats, essentially.
yeah, he really should have just stopped before that analogy. Like, he should not have involved any kind of pets at all. He should have just stopped where he was basically saying he wanted, like, he wasn't taking a side, but then he went on to kind of combine it with something else entirely different. And I can see why people took it as like an insult, like, whoa, he's like, he made it a little bit more lighthearted than a lot of people. It's very important to people, and I don't think he should have just mentioned something nonchalantly as like his cats. Like, that was a very weird thing. So I totally understand why people interpreted it differently, and he should have just kept the cats out of the whole email or whatever. Just kept it more professional.
Yeah, and ironically enough, that email was literally sent the same day that a whole lot of other pieces of gaming news was also mentioned at that time. And oh boy, a lot of people did love to go ahead and say that if only Jim Ryan did not send out that email, that it would have been Sony's day that day.
Was it what news was that?
It's the next one that we're going to be covering.
Oh,
Not
okay.
that one, but the other one, which
Okay.
definitely was the biggest piece of news that we got this week that caused so much headaches for a lot of people because, like I said before, we do not enjoy talking about console warring. Console warring is stupid. I am under the impression that if you are a person who contributes to the console wars, you are poor. Or I don't know. I feel like that people who say, like, I can't afford all the consoles, and then it's like, okay, you can't afford all the consoles, but then at that same point, though, you're literally starting to try this war over, my console's better than your console. And definitely what happened earlier this week was a mess and a half, considering the news that Microsoft had a break about a certain game getting delayed. Or games, I should say.
Definitely. We're gonna jump into that. Nonchalant says men aren't affected directly by women's rights. Let a woman speak on it or say nothing. That's a good point, man. Ellie says there was a report given to Coke and several other major companies that said the same thing. Just stay quiet because you're always gonna make someone mad.
Yeah, no, again, there's always going to be someone who gets mad at you. If you have an opinion, there's always going to be that one person who's going to say, I disagree and here's why. Well, in trying to insult you in the process. And that's honestly the reason why I feel like I can't take a good number of these I disagree comments seriously, because I feel like that if someone starts it off with lol or bro or, you know, something that's supposed to like downplay you just because they disagree, that's already kind of like, well, you're already going in with the intention that you basically just hate me just because of me, rather than explain how I could be wrong. And honestly, I love those comments that actually do call me out on something, because it's like, well, you're giving me something new to think about. Thank you for that. As opposed to, no, you're an idiot, screw you, blah, 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 you're fat, I don't know. You're fat, you're skinny, you're white. I've lost track of all the insults that I've gotten, but over time it's like you become desensitized to it, because it's like, really? That's the insult you're going with.
Oh yeah, man. Like when I started my YouTube channel, I know I was putting myself out there, and a couple of months later I did get a lot of crazy like comments and DMs, and I thought I was ready for them, but I wasn't. But like you said, you kind of get used to it and you desensitize yourself, and then you just decide to surround yourself with like the cool people, like everyone here in the chat tonight, and here Mr. Michael with us, and all the guests that we've had on with me here on the channel. That's the reason I gravitate towards you guys, because I know you guys are the cool ones. So always surround yourself with positive people, and don't take, when strangers say something negative about you, don't take it too serious. Like social media, and Mike Tyson has a really good quote, even though I'm not like one for physical violence, but Mike Tyson, to quote Mike Tyson, maybe he's not the best person to quote, but nevertheless, what he did say is that social media made a lot of people too comfortable with saying whatever the hell they wanted to say and not getting punched in the mouth for it. And I think that's a good
a very good quote.
A quote, yeah. And it's basically saying like anyone can go on the internet anonymously and talk all this shit they want to talk, and whether it be like they're trying to, like, maybe they're having a bad day, I don't know these people, but like our good friends, our close friends, and people we know are the best ones to kind of keep close to the heart, and just kind of ignore all those random people out there.
Yeah, but anyway, to get back on topic for the whole thing with Bethesda, because oh boy, social media had a godforsaken meltdown on Wednesday, I think it was. But you know, I'm not going to go ahead and quote any articles here, because it's already widespread enough that both Starfield and Redfall saw their release dates getting pushed out of 2022 and into 2023. As you can imagine, that with Starfield being the featured game of Microsoft for this year, if it's not there anymore, what does Microsoft have? And that is causing a lot of people to have concerns right now, apparently.
Yeah, because this is right before their major Bethesda presentation that's next month, yeah. So, and it's been officially confirmed by Bethesda themselves, Starfield and Redfall getting delayed. Was Redfall going to be an exclusive?
The Vampire, Left Dead, something like that. I think it was, for at least a console exclusive, alongside with Starfield. That those two were going to be console exclusives for Series XS, while also being available on PC as well. And yeah, and here's the thing that kind of kills me on this, because I feel like I want to try to talk about this, but I know that if I do talk about it, it's going to be, oh, you stupid Xbot, why would you defend them at this point? You need to stop being so submissive and actually, you know, call them out on shit. And it's like, I would, but frankly, I never had any investment in Bethesda to begin with. I mean, if I did, then sheesh, I would have to be a real idiot to forget about Fallout 76 and the state that game launched in.
Yeah, I heard Fallout 76 is fun now. Has anyone tried it?
It got better over time, apparently.
It got better.
But here's the thing I'm going off of how it seems so funny to think of how, of all the states that Bethesda games usually launch in being a bug mess, I don't think we have ever seen a situation where they actually chose to delay a game. One of their games. Let alone two games, apparently. And that's the thing that's kind of shocking me here as well, because it's like, did Microsoft see the state of Starfield and Redfall and decided that, okay, yeah, these games are not ready, get back in the, toss it back into the oven. And then it's like, yeah, no, they told them to delay it? Or was it that Bethesda after this and after what happened with Fallout 76, see that this is their chance to try to get back into everyone's good graces, and thus decided to go ahead and push it back to hopefully have a better product for next year. That is the big question.
So it got pushed into next year, right? 2023.
Yeah, it had a release date of the 11th of November. And yeah, no, that's no longer the case, of course. Meanwhile, Redfall, it only had a release date in and about 2022. And the problem there, however, is that, Redfall, we haven't seen anything of it. And, well, let me go into a quick elaboration here. Even though we haven't seen anything on Starfield or Redfall, I was under the impression that, we're going to see stuff next month. Be patient. What are the chances that they were going to push it back? Well, apparently it was pretty good. And just reading a quick comment here. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna allow that. But the point here being is that we were gonna see information soon that a lot of people have been looking at God of War Ragnarok in the same light as Starfield, and how an article from earlier this week or last week was mentioning how it's like, what are the chances that these games will be pushed back to 2023? And I know I made a comment saying along the lines that if I had to say which game was likely going to get pushed back, it would probably be Ragnarok, because we have not gotten a release date about that at all. People gave me a lot of shit over it, saying that, oh, we saw gameplay of Ragnarok. What are you talking about? We haven't seen any gameplay of Starfield. And, I went ahead and replied, yes, but we have not heard of any release dates for Ragnarok. We got, we're getting the reassurance that it's coming in 2022 by art directors, game directors, or not game directors, I take that back. Art directors and other people. But until we hear it officially announced by either the game director or through a Sony presentation that we get an actual release date for Ragnarok, that's a possibility that could still be there, that it could still get pushed out of 2022, unfortunately. And while at the same time that I didn't say that Starfield was gonna, come out on the day it was promised, but I was under the impression that Starfield could very well have it, because it's like, if you have a release date, you're probably going to keep it. And apparently, yeah, that was my fun reminder that maybe I was putting a bit too much faith in Bethesda. I can own up to that. But, at the same time, though, like I said, I never thought highly of Bethesda to begin with. They make good games, but unfortunately, as of late, I have been taking a step back and being a touch patient before immediately tossing money their way.
Looking at this article on MSN, the game maker, they're saying the game maker Bethesda states that Starfield is the first new universe in 25 years from Bethesda's game studios, an entirely new IP being developed exclusively for Series X. Many of the people Bethesda wants playing Starfields are an entire new generation of gamers. The company has spent years iterating on Elder Scrolls and more recently Fallout, but the last swipe it took at space and sci-fi proper was an Atari Jaguar game from 1999. So this is their first kind of like jump into like a Mass Effect type of game.
Yep, it's been mostly Fallout up to this point, and whatever other studios under Bethesda has done. But yep, nope, this is their foot forward in something brand spanking new. So
yeah,
we'll definitely find out in time.
The delay doesn't surprise me at all, because it's a whole entirely new IP. With God of War, I have a little bit more confidence that it's getting released this year, because they're actually going to make it backwards compatible with PS4, so they're working with the same stuff that they worked with when making the last God of War. And I feel that, like, the thing is with Starfield, they're building it from the ground up, and it's actually yet to be seen if they did say that it's going to be playable via streaming on Game Pass. But with what we've heard recently with Gotham Knights, they actually scrapped the plans on that game to make it only for Series X, PS5. Do you think we could see Starfields? Microsoft did say that this is another interesting thing too, is that could they be pushing up Starfield into next year? Because Microsoft, when they announced the Series X, they said that the next 2 years was gonna be their exclusive game.
Yeah.
yeah, their exclusive games were going to be playable on last gen Xbox. Could we be seeing a push up until next year because Starfield is going to be only Series X exclusive?
Well, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I'm not going to say that's impossible, but here's the thing that's also kind of rubbed me the wrong way for that as well, because at around the time for Gotham Knights being announced that it was getting it scrapped, if you will, for uh, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and such, that technically I'm under the idea that you should always have cross progression between the last gen and the current gen for at least a year or two. But then after the second year, and once you move into year 3, yeah, you need to go ahead and start buckling in. And it's like, for people who have had 2 years to try to upgrade to another console, it's like, you kind of need to make your choice now, please. Because it's like, you can't keep making the games forever. And, for the grace period that Xbox has done with smart delivery, top compliments to them. Everyone needs to be doing that. But then at the same time, though, you need to go ahead and start looking towards the future. You need to go and start making a couple of more games available, for Series X and S. And mind you, Series S is also kind of iffy in its own right, due to how it's not as powerful as the Series X, of course. But the point being, though, is that we need to go ahead to be looking into the future sooner or later. As for if that's going to happen with Starfield, though, that's something I have not considered, actually, until just now.
Yeah,
and that would definitely be something that could actually happen. And, and if it does happen, then it's like, okay, everyone can finally shut the hell up about, Xbox Series X has no exclusives. You have one right there.
Yeah, because I'm looking at, I think a lot of these developers are taking note of what happened with Cyberpunk, and I don't know if they want the same kind of craziness happening to them that they had with Cyberpunk Project CD Red, because Project CD Red, that was the reason that it was released in such an ugly state, is because they were trying their hardest to make it backwards compatible. And
yeah.
so it's like, if that's causing an issue, then by all means take the time that you need to if you only want to make it exclusive. I think it's already even though some people are still having trouble finding a PS5, I think it's late enough to start talking exclusives. I think it's time.
Yeah. Now, sooner or later, that choice is going to have to be made. But as for when it's going to happen, who really knows? And again, maybe we'll find out next month during the presentation that Microsoft will have. But
that's right.
Until we know for sure, that's who's to say? And for the whole thing, because again, looking in the chat, Ellie had raised a lovely point here. There are lots of games coming to Xbox. The issue is that the console doesn't have any major releases this year. I doubt Stalker 2 will make its December date because, of course, they are out of Ukraine. So that's kind of unfortunate right there. But yeah, no. Right now, for everyone who's losing their minds about there not being any games on Xbox, we need to wait next month. And if they show that they don't have any games for this year, then yeah, then that would be a good time to start panicking for Microsoft having nothing. But as for if they're going to have any big games coming this year, that's definitely going to be something that a lot of people are going to be concerned about, because it's that, outside of Starfield, we haven't heard much about any big games coming to Xbox consoles exclusively yet. And for all we know, maybe something can come up. I know a lot of people mentioned Scorn and a few other titles. But essentially, though, it's like, yeah, but are those console sellers? Is that your answer to God of War Ragnarok coming out on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, but PlayStation 5? And it's like, in that sense, it's like, yeah, some people really do buy consoles for exclusives. If you're the kind of people that do that, all the more power to you. Unfortunately for me, I'm more of a filthy casual who likes to play games on a specific system that I feel comfortable with, but that's just me.
Yeah, and Sony and Microsoft are totally looking at, they have different strategies, and we know now more than ever that Microsoft is going hard on cloud gaming, and that is like a serious type of market that they're focusing on right now, and that could the thing is, like, we're never really truly ever gonna have, I think, another Microsoft game that you can only play on Series X. You're gonna be able to play it on PC. We're hearing rumors that you can stream that soon. They're gonna
Yeah.
implement their plans on being able to stream from TVs, so Game Pass is gonna have its own separate app, and so
Be able to play your Fortnite on iPhone again, but through their app instead of playing it through the Apple Store.
yeah. Yeah, so the Microsoft and Sony are definitely taking different approaches. I mean, Jim Ryan just recently came on and stated that if they followed the same thing that Game Pass was doing, that they didn't see any profit, or they didn't show any interest in doing what Game Pass is doing. So with that said, though, I mean, they are coming up with their new PS Plus this summer, so
Yeah.
we'll see
Well,
how
I mean,
that works out.
Yeah, and then alongside with that, the other thing for that too was that, as far as for what was mentioned by Sony representatives, the other thing also is that how apparently, the quality of the games is being hurt on Game Pass, or that because that they're on Game Pass, that hurts the game quality. And honestly, that's a bit harder to say because, on one hand, it's like, so what? If the game, and if the game, or let me rephrase that really fast. If the games are on Game Pass are being covered by Microsoft to go to ensure that, the development costs are kind of out even, so that it's like they don't have to worry too much about getting that many sales, because the majority of the money that they put into, the creation of it will be reimbursed back to them, then it's like, yeah, I like to think that that's not going to happen. But then at the same time, though, it's like, if you look at the money that's probably being tossed to make God of War Ragnarok and make that game look so goddamn beautiful as it is, it's like, and then you were to go ahead and say that, part of that money that would have gone to that development is being put towards a service that would allow anyone to be able to play Ragnarok. But then, that's money that's not being put in the money, or money not being invested into the creation of the game. Then it's like, okay, yeah, no, I could go to see it from that standpoint. But then, okay, that covers the in-house for first-party games. But then what about for everyone else? Because, we just mentioned Outriders on Game Pass. We can mention a whole lot of other games that are third-party that's on Game Pass. Ubisoft has games on Game Pass. It's like, do you mean to say that because those games are on Game Pass, that hurt their quality too? Or could it be that the quality of those games were seen as under par to begin with, and thus, if they're on Game Pass, they could be able to offset some things? Apparently, Square Enix thought that Guardians of the Universe was a crash and burn, so that's on Game Pass apparently.
Yeah, so is that the argument that's being said right now? Is that is the argument that we're not getting the full game because it's on Game Pass, or?
Well, it's that the game is not living up to its fullest potential because it's on Game Pass. Because it's like, it is still the full game, but it's like, you're not getting the game in its full quality because it's on Game Pass. Like, it doesn't look as clean. It does not perform as good as it should be. It looks like cheap, or it looks cheap. Who knows? But essentially,
yeah,
it is.
I mean, but
it's like
these are timed. They're not on Game Pass like permanently. Eventually, they're gonna be available as like full-priced games. Like Game Pass was always meant to be like, we'll let you guys play these games for however long of a time, but if you really love them, if you really enjoy them, then you'll be able to purchase the full game to keep forever.
Yeah, and you can be able to get it for a slight discount too, which, okay, cool deal.
Yeah,
I get to play the game at first, and then if I like it, then I just pay a lesser cost than I would have if I decided to buy it outright.
Yeah, so I don't see developers like shortchanging their own games just for Game Pass, because the reality is it's a temporary thing. Guardians of the Galaxies on Game Pass right now. That's a full-fledged game. It's not going to be on Game Pass forever. And
yeah, no, I mean, they are getting ready to take a Final Fantasy X and X-2 off the Game Pass service here pretty soon. So it's like, yeah, no, the games are being constantly rotated. It's literally Netflix for games, if you will. It's like, no one complains about stuff being taken off Netflix because, that's stuff that's just been there on rotation. And, hopefully you could be able to get it through other means. But essentially, I keep saying essentially too many times. But essentially, you need to go ahead to feel like that if you do want to own it, go out and buy it. That you're paying for a service where you get access to these games and you can be able to play it for as long as they're on there. But, at that same point though, it's like, not everyone has the finances to buy every single game that comes out. It would be nice, but, we don't have that opportunity. And for Microsoft, they're banking on that idea where it's like, well, you can't buy all these games, but if you pay us a couple of dollars each month, you could have access to a whole library for you to enjoy. While Sony, understandable, they don't want to make their games free for all. And, they will go to bank on their $70 games to go ahead and pull people in. And, if the games are good, then all the more power to them. I think I mentioned this with you last time we spoke, Matt, because I recently started to play Returnal after all this time, and it's like, yeah, I could see how people would be paying full price for this game. This game is awesome. I have Ratchet and Clank still. That game is awesome. God of War Ragnarok, most likely than not, that game's gonna be awesome. And it's like, if that's your game plan, all the more power to you. That it's literally that, Sony is playing the Apple's plan while Microsoft is playing the Orange's plan. And Nintendo's bananas, I guess.
Nonchalant says Summer Games Fest might create runway for major Series X releases this year. LERA says there has also been the reports coming out about management issues from Xbox Studios. I think the initiative, the studio doing Perfect Dark, has recently reported issues which is delaying the game. And also she wants to say that I will drag all consoles equally.
By all means, drag them equally. If I can, I would be more than happy to join you in that front because, Nintendo's been having their issues too as of late. Unfortunately, it's like, the best fan that you can be is for you to go ahead and call out your fan base whenever something bad happens. And, don't be a jerk to other fan bases. Console warring is stupid. Don't be stupid. Console war people are stupid.
Yeah, console wars are pretty dumb. I'm gonna...
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go ahead and say, like, I have a great platform with PlayStation. I have all these great games that I can play exclusively on PlayStation. That's fine. You don't need to go ahead and and by the way, Microsoft has shit on their stuff, and Game Pass is literally as cheap as they sell it. Yada yada. It's like, no, you don't need to go to say that. Just say all the good things about your platform. You don't need to drag others down, as if to say like, you can only justify your point by doing that. Sell your console on its positive points. You don't need to go ahead and drag others down with you. You don't need to do that if your platform is already good enough as is.
Yeah, console wars are pretty stupid. I'll agree for sure, man. Nonchalant says that's the market's...
Saying the term console wars down. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nonchalant says that's the market split for each respective company in the big three. They all make enough profit, and Matt's right that cloud gaming and Game Pass cements their mindshare with gamer consumers. Also, personally, I prefer owning what I play, and Xbox doesn't afford me the same opportunity with their stuff given the limited exclusives base.
And that is a very fair point.
That's a very good, fair point for sure. Deborah, what's going on? Deborah, how's your night going? Ellie says, I think Game Pass is a good thing. There are tons of games I've was hesitant to play, but I can play a lot of these games then purchase later. Gabe says the term console war is dumb. It's pretty dumb, man. The only console war we ever had, you guys, and if you disagree, let me know, was back in the 90s with Sega, Sony, and Nintendo. There is, like, console wars are just...
Yeah, no, that was a literal console war back in the day.
Yeah.
Because they were actually taking shots at each other. Nowadays, it's like, Phil Spencer will be more than happy to go ahead to congratulate Sony studio for launching a new game. Chances are when we see God of War Ragnarok launch, we are going to see Phil Spencer shoot out a tweet that says, congratulations, you guys. I cannot wait to play this game. And it's like, really overall, the idea is that everyone's going to, and we're all in the same industry together. We all want to see brand new games come out for everyone to enjoy. What's so hard about that? Why do we need to turn that into a godforsaken argument?
Right. Marky Mark says, I personally bought multiple t-shirts recently at GameStop. One PS5 DualSense shirt and one Xbox linear logo shirt. And I rotate them when I live stream so my followers know I don't indulge in console wars. Hell yeah, Marky Mark. That's awesome, dude. Deborah says,
Yeah,
Deborah
Go for it.
says, I wish you could buy a disc, play offline, and go online if you want multiplayer. I rarely play with anyone. I hate all these services since I am busy to play that much. I hear you, Deborah. You know, like I mean, just now when my Spectrum service went out, I couldn't really get online. I had to sign in, man, on my Xbox. So I busted out the Switch and played some Kirby. Um, Always have that Switch, you know, just in case. Always have that Switch beside you. Ellie says Nintendo needs to do better with their subscription and game pricing for first-party games. PlayStation needs to communicate better and be more consumer-friendly. And Xbox needs to use some of those franchises they bought and actually make the games. For sure.
For Xbox and Sony, they need to scale back some of their live service crap. And that is very much true too, because like, you know, some people, you know, they're quick to go ahead and point out how, you know, a lot of games on Microsoft just crashed and burned when this network went down. Meanwhile, at the same time, though, some people are quick to forget that, you know, Gran Turismo 7 also went down, and you couldn't play that game single player either, even though that, you know, that was apparently a selling point that they had previously. So it's like, you know, essentially, if you're going to criticize one camp, you need to criticize all of them. Be equal rights as far as console warring goes and just bash everyone.
And speaking of Nintendo, we're gonna get into Switch talk or Switch 2 talk in a little bit, but who out there, and Michael, let me ask you as well, are Silent Hill fans? So I'm a big horror gaming fan. I love horror games. I'm a big Silent Hill fan, and we got some stuff to talk about in terms of Silent Hills, man. Silent Hills.
I will admit that, like I said earlier when we were discussing Evil Dead, that for some reason, I cannot play horror games for the life of me. I cower out of them more times than not. Yeah. And that, you know, like Resident Evil 7, the one that takes place in Louisiana, I literally only played up to the part to where you are about to go inside the first house, and it's like, nope, I can't do it. I know what's in there, and I cannot do it. I'm a coward.
And you haven't played it in VR, huh?
Hell no.
That stuff is crazy, man.
Someone would have to pay me $10,000 plus to make that shit happen for me. Man. I mean, mind you, though, that, you know, I have played other Resident Evil games, but yeah, no, 7 and Village, though, no. And then, you know, growing up, Silent Hill was also kind of in that same standpoint, too. And mind you, as I've gone older, I've gotten myself more used to horror games by watching other people play through horror games. Though, you know, whenever I see a new Five Nights at Freddy's game, I find myself having to play with the space bar, pressing it every few seconds to make sure that, okay, no jump scare. And then it's like, shit.
Let us know in the chat, you guys, who are fans of jump scares. If you're not a fan, that's all good too.
Yeah, no, I'm a coward. If I play horror games, I'm gonna get a heart attack, I'm sure. Can't imagine any other way I could get heart attacks, right?
And Silent Hills, so I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat know already. There was a game, a demo called PT that showed up on the PlayStation 4 store, and you could download it, and then they delisted it, ultimately leading to the canceled project that Hideo Kojima was working on. And a lot of people are saying that it was Silent Hills that was going to be the name for the next Silent Hill. Well, it's popping up again on gaming news websites and on Twitter, and I'm going to show you guys some interesting tweets that I came upon. And normally I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't see something worth talking about, but definitely this time around it's worth talking about this because we'll take a look at a Twitter account that started tweeting out some leaks for the Silent Hills game, and then I'm going to show you guys something interesting involving another gaming industry insider, Alana Pierce, and let's see what you guys think about this correlation we're having here. But I'm going to show you guys really quick this tweet.
Yeah, as always, everything that is shown, usually go ahead and take with a grain of salt. Although that, given the circumstances around this rumor, a lot of people are kind of being a little bit more open to the idea that this could very well be something we should be watching particularly close.
Yeah, for sure. Taking it with a grain of salt with you guys. This is merely a discussion. I'm kind of excited for it, but of course we're not gonna really know. I know Nonchalant's not really a big fan of the leaks and stuff, and but this got me excited, man. And this is a Twitter account, Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dusk Golem, and he tweeted out saying, "Okay, you know what? I want." He's responding to another Twitter user, and that Twitter user was asking, "How do you think? Hello, do you think we will have some information of the game this year?" He responded, "Okay, you know what? I will answer this. The Silent Hill project I posted screens from. Those screenshots, by the way, got deleted off Twitter, and I'm gonna show you guys those screenshots. I have a screenshot of them, of the concept art for Silent Hills. But the Silent Hill project I posted screens from 2020 on was originally supposed to come out October 2021, but obviously this was in 2020 and COVID struck. I have confirmation now the thing I posted pics from was active half a year ago." Like I said, you guys, usually any Twitter account can come out and say things like this, but I'm going to show you guys why I wanted to talk about this. It's correlating with something that Alana Pierce talked about in 2019. He went on to say, which means it's almost definitely still in development and unlikely was canned in the last 6 months. While I don't specifically know when it's going to hit, and I know Silent Hill date rumors are cursed because of me, I do personally believe we'll see it sometime soon. Okay. And another Twitter user pointed this out. Aesthetic Gamer went on to tweet, "Silent Hill leak information. There's a lot I'm not sharing for now. This is from a relatively new source for me, but I have been given more than enough proof to believe them. I also will mention the names Anita and Maya. SMS messages, and this is not the only game in development." So he's saying that there's more than one Silent Hill in development, hence like the plural name of Silent Hills. Aesthetic Gamer tweeted this out a couple of days ago, but what I found interesting was Alana Pierce in 2019 tweeted this out. She said, "I heard that Silent Hills would require you to sign a waiver before playing because it would somehow interact with your real world self, like by sending you emails or text messages as characters from the game, even when you weren't actively playing." So this is interesting, you guys. I don't know how many of you guys played the Silent Hill that came out on the Wii, but that Silent Hill actually did implement something like this, where like your Wii remote would be kind of like it acted like a cell phone basically, and while you were playing the game, your cell phone or the Wii remote would go off, and you would put the Wii remote to your ear to listen to what the in-game phone call sounded like. So they apparently they wanted to do something involving where like if you could be at work or doing something or like not playing games or whatever, and you would get text messages from characters in the game. And these are the screenshots that got deleted off Twitter, and I got them right here for you guys. These are concept arts. Concept art that is being claimed as art for Silent Hills. And I'll see what you guys are saying in the chat in a little bit here.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and say that the idea for, SMS messages and emails and such, that may sound far-fetched, but I would probably say that if you are someone who has recently played any Ubisoft games as of late, you probably might have noticed that, this is actually something that actually does happen, where it's like, or I mean, as soon as we get back to our face cams, I'll try to show a picture off my cell phone for that. But there are things nowadays where it's like you can get emails while you're playing a game for stuff like, hey, you just took out the big bad, or hey, you just accomplished this thing, or you haven't played this game in a while. Are you really gonna let so-and-so win? And it's like, yeah, no, I could definitely see if that's the case, if for whatever reason, that if they choose to go down this path for Silent Hills, that could actually be something that could be neat. But then at the same time, I don't really know if that would be something that would be, or I'm trying to figure out the best way of saying it, because, it would be cool to see it happen, when you're playing it for the first time. But then it's like, what do you do in multiple playthroughs? It's like, are you just gonna have to deal with, messages being constantly sent your way every time that you decide to go to play Silent Hills? Like, do I really need to go and be running on my phone tab just so that I can be reminded of horror messages from Silent Hills I got like for the 5th time?
I feel like this is what the metaverse is gonna be, man. We're gonna be interacting with like fictitious digital NPCs.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that's gonna be cool. But anyway, let me hold this up here. So, like, for example, for Rainbow Six Extraction, when I was playing through it and when I got through a certain part through Alaska, I got an email that said, "Congratulations, you made it out of Alaska." And then from there, you did go ahead and get like simple things like, saying like, here's what you accomplished. And then it's like, it gives you a whole breakdown of stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, no, if you were to go ahead and put this within a horror game aspect, that could be cool. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know if you would really want to tolerate all the, phone messages or all the emails or stuff like that. Mind you, what I think they could do is, if you recall, or I mean, I don't know if you know, Matt, for how the Xbox One launch was. They did a thing with Dead Rising 3 where it's like, you could go ahead and use the app, and then from there you could be able to see if, yada yada, to be able to like follow your map or your character while they're running around on the map, or like you could go ahead to like tap like, I need to find so-and-so, and they'll, then show it in your game after you look it up on your phone or whatever. Then it's like, if there's like a partner app that you could be able to download that you play with the game to, make it even more immersive, then it's like, okay, maybe that could be that could be cool to make that happen. But I don't really know if you would really want to be having text messages constantly sent your way or to have email sent your way. And it's like, what are speedrunners gonna do? Just gonna have to deal with the constant messages being shot their way?
So what you're describing, I think, are push notifications, and the,
well, I mean,
and the thing with this, the thing that I got from this is that it would be a little bit more personal than that. So it's like, I'm gonna make up a name. Let's say I met like Jessica in my Silent Hill game, like an NPC called Jessica, and I got to talking to her in the game. And while my PlayStation 5 or Xbox was off and I'm at work, and Jessica sends me a text message saying, you know what, I think there's an imported item that you can find and so, and she gives me like a tip or whatever. But like a literal like personal text message that like if somebody else was texting me, that's kind of like what I was thinking about. I don't know if that's too far-fetched. Let us know in the chat. But a little bit more like not where it's like not really like a push notification or like a spam email, but like a literal like personal text message, making you feel that like this NPC is an actual living person.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is possible that it could happen, but it's like, who really knows if they may or may not go down that path. And then, mind you, though, you have to most likely sign up for, or, you would have to put something down to go ahead and have people call you or anything like that. I can't imagine that they would just be doing it out of the blue, hell forbid if they were, but because I mean, like, I can see like if something were to happen like that with like Microsoft, where it's like, you had to sign up with your phone number to go to recover your password, that, I could see some kind of creepy backwards way that it's like, oh, we know how to find your phone number, by the way, so we'll just go to send you a quick message to freak you out.
Well, I mean, like, you would have to provide them your phone number. Like, they'll probably have like a disclaimer, like, if you would like to receive text messages from these NPCs, like, give us your phone number. And I know I would give them my phone number. I don't care, man. Like, I would do it. But I know there's a lot of people out there with privacy concerns that wouldn't want to do that, of course, and I guess risk like spam stuff, like you were saying, like a website that asks for your phone number, like if it's like a gaming website or whatever, they're probably wanting the number, right, for like spam emails and spam text messages.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll see what will happen. You know, for all we know, for all this talk of Silent Hills, maybe it could happen next month, actually. Because, you know, who knows what could be announced during the whole Summer Games Fest, Xbox Bethesda presentation, and whatever other game shows that may appear during June. But yeah, no, besides that, though, I am just, well, not concerned, but I am kind of interested to see what could be done, because I know that last year, during the last big, or was it the Game Fest, or was it the Game Awards? I don't know, the whole thing with Jeff Keighley going in a screenshot as he watches, or because he's the only person who got to witness Elden Ring for the first time before everyone else.
Yeah, he was really putting that in our face, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
Nonchalant says it might function as a cool narrative device if what Matt is saying is actually happens. Yeah, I mean, this is all just general talk, you guys. Like, we're brainstorming, but I think that would be, I would enjoy it. But if the audience was big enough to like something like that.
Yeah, I mean that, and also, well, that was the reason why I mentioned the app, because
Yeah.
you know, to be able to go ahead and go forth to have like actual text messages and emails, that would be cool, but that would be a really big step forward. Whereas, you know, you could be able to just take the app route and just link it up that way, because, you know, I don't know if you know this, Matt, because within like, there are books nowadays where they are like AR books, where it's like if you download the app while you read the book, you could go ahead and scan pictures within the book, and it's like, you know, the book is coming alive and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like
Then it's
3D.
like, yeah, something like that, or to be able to play games on the phone or something like that. That if you were to go ahead to, you know, make an app that goes with the game, and as long as the game is active, then that's all good. Or if the service goes down, you can still be able to play the game just fine.
There was
Because,
also,
you know,
there was also a, you know, I'm remembering a PSVR game, and it was kind of like some kind of like detective crime, like crime story game, where it was kind of like that. You would use an app on your phone to communicate with what you were doing like in the game. So I know with like it's possible with like apps, right? But I was
yeah, no, it would be
yeah.
possible, but I'm just not sure. Well, I'm actually kind of curious trying to figure out what it is, so.
It was called let's see, it's where it was like a
Yeah, I don't know if Chad may know or not, but
yeah. Am I going crazy over here? Or was there a game like that, chat? I saw it on clearance at Best Buy one time.
I mean, I'm not too sure what it is, but you know, if it does should come up, then for that, then you know, by all means, that. I mean, maybe for all we know, maybe that could be one way, like you said, for how the metaverse could work to provide a new level of interaction that we have never seen before. And it's like, you know, if that's the case, you know, that would be awesome. That would be cool. Who knows if it'd be something that would be a spur of the moment that wouldn't last much longer, like, you know, if it would stick around 5-10 years from now, but who knows.
Devin says, hi Matt, got to go in a while, can't stay long because my son just got into a fight. Oh no, Devin, I hope everything works out for you. Sorry to hear that. Your son doing good? Kind of got to take him to the hospital. Holy crap, Devin.
I hope everything goes fine. To the hospital, that's... Oh, that went... Or that got a little bit real.
Yeah,
Let's
Devin,
go next topic.
yeah.
Okay.
Let us know how it works out for you, man. Hopefully everything's good, Devin.
Yep, hope the best for you. Okay, but so yeah, any final thoughts on Silent Hills then, Mr. Matt?
Final thoughts is I hope it happens. I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. Whether Hideo Kojima is involved in it or not, I'm not entirely sure. I hope he is. That's wishful thinking, but
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for a new Silent Hill. We haven't had one in quite a bit of time. The last one being Downfall or Downpour. uh, I kind of like Downpour actually. I know like starting with Silent Hill Homecoming, a whole different developer started making those games, but I actually have been enjoying anything Silent Hill related. But for me, and let me know in the chat if you're Silent Hill fans, which was your favorite Silent Hill. For me, it was Silent Hill 2. That My god, Silent Hill 2 is one of the best horror games I've ever played. It's a story that stayed with me until now. When a story sticks with you, like your whole life, it was a good experience, and that's how impactful that game was for me. Um, but now, other than that, I think we can move on to the next one, man. The next topic, we're gonna finish up tonight's stream with talking about Nintendo, and Nintendo Switch 2. Are you down to talk about some Nintendo Switch 2 rumors, speculation, thoughts?
It's a fun conversation to have every year, I say.
Every year?
Because, well,
Yeah.
here's the thing, because, when you go to think about it, the Switch has been around for a considerable sum of time when you think about it.
Yeah.
Switch release date. Yeah, if you really want to think about it for a quick sec, the Switch is technically 5 years old right now. That's a very good sum of time for a console to be out. And, while it does seem a bit silly to talk about the next version of a console after like years 2 or 3, maybe 4, which, mind you, that kind of makes it funny considering the whole rumors about, the next PlayStation 5, even though that's kind of feels like that might be a touch too soon to be covering that, but, maybe another time. That a lot of people always want to go ahead and talk about what comes next after the Switch. That some people feel like that Nintendo by now should have made the announcement of us getting a Switch Pro. Or, name tending, of course, because they don't do the name Pro like PlayStation does, or Xbox with their One X or whatever. Meanwhile, at that same point though, is there a need for Nintendo to do an upgrade? Because technically, I don't think they've ever bothered to do such a thing before. They never have seen a need to say, we have the Wii. The Wii U was not an expansion of the Wii. It was its own thing, technically. Quick reminder. But for the Switch 2, would there be a Switch 2? Would we see an upgrade version of the Switch? Not the OLED, but an actual upgrade of hardware for the Switch. And that's kind of where we'll continue on from here.
I actually came across an article that was posted 5 hours ago on Tom's Guide. A new Nintendo console has been tipped for a 2024 release date by a reasonably reliable analyst, Pierce Harding Rolls of Ampere Analysis.
Oh, that's good timing.
Definitely good timing. He says he's forecasting a next-gen Nintendo device to release in 2024, he said. By the end of that year, Switch is predicted to have sold through 146 million units, meaning it still has the potential to become the best-selling console ever by the end of its lifetime, selling over 158 million units, overtaking the PS2.
Yeah, man.
This kind of builds on top of what the president of Nintendo of Japan recently said. He actually came out and clarified what he said. He says that it was translated the wrong way, but they were talking about that Nintendo is thinking about the next, or working on the next iteration of the Switch, but there was also a little bit of a concern, right, by them. What do you think those concerns would be, though, about the Switch 2?
Here's the biggest issue with Nintendo in general when you think about it, because when you think of the idea of backwards compatibility, how many times has there been an issue with that with Sony and Microsoft? Of course, you could go ahead and say that, there are examples of here and there, but for the most part, backwards compatibility has mostly not been too much of an issue. However, we can't exactly say that when we think about Nintendo's history. You can't just put a Nintendo into a Super NES that can't go into into a Nintendo 64, that cannot go into a Wii, that might be able to go into a Wii U, but certainly can't go into a Switch. And some people feel like that's, or rather, I should say the president feels like that's, where do you go from here for Switch 2? Switch 2 will have issues with software. It's very good point because, think of it like this. If the Switch currently uses cartridges and if they go to discs, that immediately shoots Nintendo in the foot right there.
Right.
Because you can't exactly... Oh, I mean, mind you, maybe unless if they have a specific adapter made for Switch games, but then who really knows if they may actually go out of their way to design such a thing. But if they do decide to go ahead to do that, or unless if they decide to do that, I should say, that unless if they go down that path, that's going to be a whole lot of Switch cartridges that are just going to be out in the open for no one to be able to play with. And then on top of that, who really knows what the status of the hardware itself will be? Because, right now, if you go to compare Switch games with PlayStation 5 and Series S and X, the Switch isn't exactly the biggest powerhouse of a console. Some people could say, oh, they could play, The Witcher 3 just fine. You could play Kingdom Hearts on there just fine. Then it's like, at that same point, you need to kind of remind yourself that, one, games have to be downgraded, unfortunately, to be able to work on the Switch. A lot of adjustments have to be made for it to be able to either run just good enough or to run okay, or a lot of backbending. Or three, make use of the cloud. And a lot of people don't like that third option.
Oof,
so there's
yeah.
a lot of issues with Nintendo, what will happen for the next generation. Meanwhile, part of me feels like that the easiest way to go along with this would be that, you don't need to have a Switch 2, you don't need to have a Switch U, any sequel to the Switch. Just take a page out of what Sony and Microsoft have done and just literally have, a Switch XL, a Switch Pro, a Switch continuation that has better hardware running off of what you currently have. I would think that would be the easiest route that you could be able to take for that. Mind you, obviously, I'm not in the business of knowing how everything works, but, basing off of what Sony and Microsoft have done for many, well, not many generations, but for the last couple of generations, they have done these things to where, after a couple of years, they do go out and release a new version of the existing generation console to go ahead and keep up with the demands of the current layout of games. That you don't want to have a game, or you don't want to have a console that came out day one to try to play Cyberpunk, and then realize that, oh wait, Cyberpunk is too powerful for my poor system to handle. And, you want to have, whatever comes next for the Switch. It would be nice because, on that same point of having a better console, because have you heard of the story of Metroid Dread emulations, Matt?
No. What's up with that?
Okay, so slight tangent on that. Kotaku, when Metroid Dread came out, not Metroid Prime, Metroid Dread came out, a lot of people were pirating the game, emulating the game. And, a lot of people were kind of bashing Kotaku, saying, you should not be promoting piracy there, Kotaku. Right? I mean, understandably so, but that's beside that point. But, the funny thing that happened? Games running on the emulators were running better than on the Switch itself.
Really? Oh, wow.
And, yeah, that's... I mean, mind you, that was also kind of going off the idea for a lot of people who were looking at the footage for Breath of the Wild 2, and some people saying, okay, there's no way this game could run that good on the current Switch. I think that was something that was on the Digital Foundry, that a lot of people got really upset with Digital Foundry when they said that. And it's like, well, gee, I wonder why Digital Foundry, the guys who specialize in video game performance alongside with other things, would be making such comments. And it's like, if we find out if, like, say, Breath of the Wild 2, as we get closer to its release date, oh, look at that, a brand new Switch console to be able to play Breath of the Wild 2 on.
Right.
What are the chances? Then it's like, a lot of people feel like that could be something that could happen as we reach that point. But unfortunately, it's like, at this time, the current Switch, it's a great system for what it does, but for people who like, I'm the kind of person who doesn't play portably all too often. I play it on the big screen 9 times out of 10. I would like to be playing a game to be running smoothly or smoother on the big screen than it would be if I was either playing it handheld or on the screen. I want to be able to, if I plug it in, to play on the big screen. I want it to be acting as though that it's running smoother at the very least. Not a big demand, but apparently that's the current situation that some people run into. Which, again, it's not to say that the Switch is a bad system. Far from it. It wouldn't be a best-selling system if it had issues. But, for the longevity of the Switch, it would be nice to see a Switch 2 or a Switch XL, Switch Pro, whatever. Because if we get that to happen, then that would make the Switch's lifespan go expanded out even further to be able to do more with this Switch, to be able to have more games on the Switch for everyone to go ahead and enjoy. Slight tangent there. I'm running short on breath now.
No, you're good, man. But yeah, what there was these articles that we were seeing coming out about the Switch 2. Initially, it was reported Nintendo president says Nintendo Switch successor is a major concern. And what he went on to say was that, unlike the past, we continue to have a large variety of games scheduled to be released even beyond 5 years of release. This is because the Nintendo Switch has had such a smooth launch, allowing us to focus all of our development resources on a single platform. Furukawa said, however, the question of whether we will be able to smoothly transition from Nintendo Switch to the next generation of hardware is a major concern for us. Based on our experiences with the Wii, Nintendo DS, and other hardware, it is very clear that one of the major obstacles is how to easily transition from one hardware to the next. And so some people interpreted that translation as, that they're definitely working on the Switch too. But another thing was people were saying is that they don't know how to do like the transition, or maybe they're freaking out at the last minute on how to actually progress into the next iteration of the Switch. But I do have to say, man, that it's being worked. I'm more than confident in saying that it's being worked on as we speak. But Nintendo always is that company that will hold everything close to their chest, and they're working on it, but they're not going to talk about it. But
yeah, well, I mean, and the other thing we have to keep in mind too is that we also have to keep in mind that they have ran into this similar problem not that long ago too, because think of the other recently released console that came out recently from Nintendo that was such a big hit that how do you follow up the Wii? Well, maybe you could do the Wii U.
Yeah.
And then, that can't just crash and burn immediately and almost bankrupt our company, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I can understand that for the Switch, they want to make sure that the Switch does not run into that same problem.
Right.
But the problem, though, is that as for how they're going to go along with doing that, like you said, they're going to keep that close and they're not going to share that information with anyone.
And there was this thing too, is that like if we look at the pattern of Nintendo consoles, right? They had the N64 that was relatively pretty successful. Then they had the GameCube, which was not as successful. But then they had the Wii, which was successful, and then the Wii U, which got them like plummeting again, and then it rose back up with Switch. So there's that weird pattern that we see Nintendo going through, where it's like they have one generation that succeeds and becomes popular, and then it's like they skip a generation. But hopefully that's not the same this time around. Hopefully they don't name that new Switch the Switch U. You think they would do that?
Ah, hell no. Like I said, that's maybe Switch 2, maybe Super Switch. I don't think that there would be a problem if they were to go ahead to make an affiliation with the Switch name, because the Switch is basically, it is now the symbol of what Nintendo currently is right now. So if they were to go ahead and make a sequel to the Switch that does the exact same thing that the Switch currently does, okay, cool deal. Everyone would go ahead and understand that. But they need to go ahead and make sure that it is being tossed out there, that everyone knows that this is the brand new thing, that they're not going to spend, the time talking about the Wii U and not elaborate that, oh, by the way, this is not a attachment. This is not a new accessory for your Wii. That this is actually a brand new system. So it's like, they need to make sure to elaborate on that.
Yeah, yeah, especially for like the parents out there and stuff that are buying these for their kids. I can see why the marketing is what uh kind of responsible for the Wii U's downfall. It was very confusing. Parents had just spent money, dropped money on the Wii, and for them to see like the Wii U, like you said, it was probably indicating that it was merely like something added on to the Wii. So definitely they won't. The naming convention, they're gonna have to pay more attention to that. I personally want it to be named the Super Nintendo Switch, but I'm an old school kind of guy, and maybe that's not gonna be popular with a lot of the newer audience of gamers that they've been able to sell the Switch to. So I mean, Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't sound bad. They could take a page
That's,
out of PlayStation's playbook, right?
I mean, I don't see why not. That they just need to make sure to actually, or elaborate more rather than just leave it up to interpretation. Because if you leave it up to interpretation, more times than not, people are going to be trying to work it into a negative standpoint rather than a positive one.
I did.
Not to say that people are negative, but they will make it negative if given the choice.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever they decide to do, we're gonna see a lot of negative uh backlash for one reason or another. That's just a given, right? Especially with like social media these days and stuff. But I did come across that article, and when my internet went out, I totally lost track of the article. But they were writing that the interpretation or the translation that the Nintendo of Japan president quoted wasn't translated correctly. So if I come across that, I'll post it on Twitter. But as it stands now, we're still in like that area where it's like all rumor right now, of course. But let us know in the chat, what do you guys want to see in a Nintendo Switch 2? Me personally, I'm gonna ask Michael right now what he would love to see. Me personally, I just want to see the jump from 1080p to 4K. That would be enough for me, to be honest with you guys. Maybe it's not like a big like.
Well, they need to get to 1080p first. That's kind of the thing. They're only up to 720, I think.
Yeah, undocked. When you dock it, supposedly majority of the games get upscale to 1080p.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
dock
I mean,
it.
mind you, that for the graphics, that's always kind of a personal preference. Mind
Yeah.
you, though, I'm with you on that. That I would like to see better looking games, please. That would be very nice.
Oh, and another huge thing too is that like if Nintendo really wants to compete with Sony and Microsoft, they need to have I'm not talking about being able to stream games like Hitman 3. You can stream Hitman 3 on Nintendo Switch, or I don't know if it's already out yet, but that was the plan for Hitman 3. We can't be left with only the ability to stream current gen games. We want to be able to play them. And I think like they're going to need to make an update where like if they want to compete with Sony and Microsoft, which we know that they don't have to if they don't want to, right? But like if they want to have it even as an option where I can play like the latest Xbox game or the latest third party game, they're gonna have to make that hardware powerful enough to handle at least games that we're playing right now on Series X and PlayStation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's should be the standard, but unfortunately, Nintendo kind of bows out from that. Unfortunately, more times than not. That's but unfortunately, it's not to say Nintendo is always behind the times as far as generations go, but technically speaking, that's if we look at how good Wii games look, you can say, oh, hey, that's nice. They look just as good as PlayStation 2 games. Oh, by the way, where are you playing on your PlayStation 3, Xbox 360? And it's like, yeah, no, go for it.
What I do love about Nintendo though, man, is it's like honestly, I'm having fun with my Switch still. Like these games that I can't play on any other system, barred any or barring any kind of emulation on the Steam Deck. I'm not like a big emulation guy. Like I prefer to play them on the console they were intended for. So it's like I'm still having a lot of fun with my Switch, man. And so it's like I'm still having fun with the new Kirby game, with Animal Crossing. And it's like one of those things where it's like if you're having fun with it and if their fan base, the majority of their fan base is fine with their current hardware, is there even like really a rush for Nintendo to give us a Switch 2 at this point?
I mean, it's not that we need to have the next generation of console after Switch at this very moment, let alone in the next few years. We were in the PlayStation 4, Xbox One for like 7, 8 years. But I mean, I don't see a need for us to think about what comes after Switch here anytime soon. And I think that even once we get into 2024, I still feel like that it may still be not that time quite yet. But again, that I'm still under that same standpoint that we should at least have an upgrade to the Switch by now, or at the very least, something to hold us off. Because I know that for my wish list, the main thing I would say is that, if you want to go ahead and have a docked and undocked, that's totally fine. But what it should be is that when it's docked, it should be like, the moment you plug it in, the game just gets upgraded. That, graphics get boosted up, performance gets boosted up.
Ooh.
It's like it's a actual console that you're working with. Whereas
Yeah.
if you do go ahead to take it out, then it's like, okay, then it starts to work like a handheld, which is totally fine. That I just want there to be a difference between docked and undocked. Which, mind you, that if I had, because I did get called on this by the chat, for how when it is docked, it is supposed to be 1080, but for some reason, whenever I check, it always says 720 for some reason.
Oh,
But
your TV tells you?
yeah, my TV's weird like that. I think I need to upgrade it. But the point though is that I want to make it feel like that there is a difference when I go ahead to play docked as opposed to undocked. Because if it makes me feel like that if I play undocked or docked and it feels like the exact same experience, then I feel like I just got cheated out if I'm trying to treat this system like a home console. Because mind you that you could go ahead and argue that the Switch is just a very elaborate portable console that just so happens to connect to your TV, but that's about it. To which, if that's the case, okay, fine, but I want there to be a case to where it's like, if you want to go ahead to stream this through Twitch or whatever, if you're going to be wanting to play this on your big screen TV that does 4K or whatever, I want to see that difference in comparison to whether if you play docked or undocked. That would be my big wish list right there for like a better performance, better looking system, and all that fun jazz. But beyond that, though, if it's like, I don't want it to be like the next PlayStation 5, the next Series S or X. Nintendo has never been known for that, nor do they need to. Because clearly, Nintendo could do, lackluster stuff visually in comparison and performance. And they could still be cranking out some of the best games we've been playing. And, you could go and look at all the games we're getting this year as a fine example of that. But overall, though,
Right.
I just want the next system, whether if it's an upgrade from the Switch or the next upgrade or the next console that comes after Switch. I just want there to be that key difference.
I got you. I got you. Um you have to kind of consider the Steam Deck. I mean, Nintendo, I'm sure they took notice of this. They took note of it. Um a lot of people are saying like, well, we can play all these current gen games on the Steam Deck, and that makes it better than Switch. But I still feel that the Steam Deck is not very accessible to a lot of people. And
Not yet,
also
anyway.
not yet, anyways. Yeah, and it's not very versatile. I was actually having this conversation with someone recently on Facebook where I expressed that I prefer my Switch because of the portability and also that it's just easy. I don't have to take the time to emulate games on the Steam Deck if I can just play them on a Nintendo Switch. That thing is gigantic also, man. It's like the size of like it's bigger than the Game Gear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really?
It's bigger than the freaking Game Gear, man. And Game Gear was a behemoth.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember the Game Gear. Ironically enough, that was like one of the very few things I did remember. And yeah, no, that was pretty big, actually.
Yeah, and so I was saying that like if I wanted PC gaming on the go, I might as well just take my gaming laptop with me, because I don't see myself playing the Steam Deck like in a waiting room. Whereas like with the Switch, it's for me. I mean, that's just me. It's a preference thing. Like I could just pop out my Switch, play it in a waiting room, and but I don't see myself doing that with a Steam Deck.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the whole thing with the Switch as well, where it's like, whether if we are talking about Switch or the Steam Deck, it's that idea of portability to take your games on the go with you, which, obviously not a foreign idea, but when you consider home console performances on the go, then it's like, okay, that changes everything then. And as for the Steam Deck, obviously there has been a good reception on it thus far. Mind you, that some people would still have a couple of choice words for it, but I haven't been following the Steam Deck that closely as of late. But, we need to see where exactly this takes us from here as far as what comes next. Because obviously, for all the talks we've been having, or rather, I should say, what you've been having in between tracking the PlayStation 5 and the Series SX for availability, because of course, as much as we like to remain positive on that, that's still an issue for some people to still find the system, even though that, thankfully, as we've been moving along, at least the ability to get the console of your choice is thankfully has become easier and over the time. But at that same point, though, who knows what comes next after that? Because, you know, obviously none of us ever thought of the Switch as a possibility ever in the world of gaming, I'm sure. So, what comes next after the Switch? What would be the next big thing that blows our minds? That's definitely the one thing that I think that, why Nintendo themselves are as concerned as they are, trying to figure out this mystery. This mystery that they set up for themselves.
Nonchalant says Steam Deck's successor will be much better, in my opinion. Don't like the 30 FPS target on a portable device.
Fair.
Jucky says, take Raspberry Pi. No, I don't want to take raspberry. I don't want any blueberry, raspberry, strawberry. I just want to be able to put a game into my system and play it. I don't want to, that's just me though. Like, I'm not a big PC guy, but I know it's out there. I know there's a lot of people that are fans of emulation and stuff. So
yeah,
that's just my personal opinion, but
yeah, no, we all have our preferences with how we play our games. Like I said before, that some people think that emulation pirating is a bad thing, and yet other people have shown how they could actually be used for a benefit, whether for preservation or being able to play, games that are out right now in a much more better standpoint. Even the idea of modding a game, that could be funny to watch Dragon turn into Thomas the Tank Engine, or in other cases to actually improve an overall performance of a game.
Dude, I'm gonna piss off some people when I say this, but I am like annoyed with like these mod videos that pop up on Facebook and Twitter, where like I saw one for Elden Ring where they replaced my fellow Tarnish with Homer Simpson. I'm just like,
I do enjoy.
Oh, you do though. You do enjoy those, okay?
Mind you,
done.
If you don't like it, that's you. I understand that it can be a touch silly to go ahead and watch, Homer Simpson and Bart and God of War beating up Ned Flanders.
Like the first couple of times I saw it, I was like, "That's cool," but it's like, oh my god, like you guys are massacring a masterpiece. You know what I mean? And a lot of people enjoy it, but me, I'm just like, my god. Like
no, that's fine. It's not for everyone, of course, because sometimes it can be it can go into extremes, of course. That, I could easily show you like, some of them could be funny, some of them could just be annoying or just downright stupid. And then, of course, in other cases, you could just have people that think that, a girl, what would girl look like without certain without certain things on? And it's like, well, gee, you're just like, you could be using your time better than that if that's really your end goal here, friend.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and I can understand that from that standpoint and other standpoints for modding.
Yeah, no, it's those are really popular videos, but it's just like, I don't know if Nonchalant how he feels about modded character, but like Nonchalant, like he spent hundreds of hours on Elden Ring, and I mean, you did too, Michael, and I did too. I gained such a close connection to that game. When you spend over 100 hours, you gain a certain connection to this game, right? And
Of course.
for it to like to see it like taken apart for these videos, I'm just like, no, that's not Elden Ring. That's just
Yeah.
me
No,
being
I
like
mean
picky
that's
or
the whole.
defensive or whatever.
No, I mean that's the whole joke of modding in general because it's like you could go ahead and play the scary game of all time, where I mean one of the scariest games of Resident Evil 7, and then be strapped to a chair watching a whole bunch of cannibals eating human parts or whatever.
Yeah,
Or you can go ahead and just replace all the family members with the Simpsons or Rick and Morty characters.
yeah.
And then it's like, obviously it takes away from the overall feeling then, doesn't it?
I'm too much of a hard ass. Maybe I can get
Well, that's
I gotta
understandable.
loosen
I'm not
up,
going to hold
man.
that against you. I'm not going to hold that against you.
I'll loosen up and I'll take more joy into checking those out. Um, but keep your fly swatters away from Resident Evil Village, you bastards.
Fly swatters.
Yeah, like the whole fly swatter thing where they were using it on Lady D.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, no. As soon as I connect, yeah, I was a bit slow to connect the dots there, but yeah, no, I figured it out. Yeah,
Um,
the dots that were done there too. Jesus.
Junkie says mod characters are funny. He wants to make a mod of me wearing a thong. It ain't gonna happen, Junkie. Not today, Junior.
I'm just gonna continue to remain silent whenever those comments come up. With all due respect.
That's all good, man.
You bet.
16 likes. Thank you guys so much, man. You like us. You really, really like us. Thank you guys. Big shout out to the latest subscriber, even Tapia. Big shout out to you guys so much for the continued support. Love y'all. And again, thank you to J Bay for the super chat, dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. Michael, you want to say anything? Any closing comments before we call in a night here?
Let me see. It's kind of hard to say because, like I said, that this week has been overwhelming for me because it was like when we got together this last Sunday to say like hey, we had a fun time chatting. Do you want to come on again to chat stuff? It's like, okay, yeah, for sure. And I was kind of in hopes that we were gonna have a couple of things that we could at least talk about for a little bit. And it's like, okay, if we have like maybe 2 or 3 things, maybe we could stretch that out and hopefully have a good time overall. And then suddenly, like between all the things we discussed today, it was like, oh Jesus Christ, this is way too goddamn much for me to even deal with right now. And then, at that same point though, I went ahead and sent a message to Matt on Twitter saying, oh, we are gonna have a good show tonight.
Man, this was a hell of a good show, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, no, overall though, I want to say that I'm glad that we had this chat. Thank you very much for inviting me on as always. I'm always happy to stop by to say hello, chat games, and hopefully expand the fun thought process of what goes on in this wild industry that we find ourselves in. But yeah, no, overall though, I'm very much interested in seeing how things are going to be playing out. We are currently halfway through May, which means that we are not that far away from June. And then as soon as June rolls around, Jesus Christ, who knows what the hell's going to happen during that month.
Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest was actually my first video ever here on YouTube in 2020. Summer of 2020. That's gonna be fun. I want to stream it if I'm not working that day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know for myself, I may try to make arrangements of maybe putting in for some time. I don't put in for time at all at where we work. Ironically enough, Matt, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to care, but I am slowly but surely making my way towards 400 hours of vacation right now.
Dude!
So as soon
take some time off, man.
I need to be taking some time off, but
I know.
The funny thing is that I'm literally going to be forcing my workplace to have to go to start, forcing me to go on vacation at the rate that I'm going. But yeah, no, I think that during June, because usually in June, that's literally the only time out of the year outside of any holidays and any times I'm told I need to go on a vacation. They literally tell me, it's your birthday, go home. And it's like, no, but I want to work. But anyway. During June though, during that time frame, I usually find myself always wanting to try to ask for a time off, at least for the Monday and the Tuesday of that week, if at all possible. mind you, this is going to be a touch complicated this time because there is no E3, and I'm not too sure what the schedule is going to be for that week. Because the only thing I could go off of is just the Summer Games Fest that's happening on Tuesday. But beyond that, though, I don't know if anything's going to be happening on that Monday, let alone if anyone is going to make any big announcements on a certain other day. Because I don't know if like Nintendo may decide to do something that week or if they may do it another time. So overall, it's just it's going to be one big gamble, and I want people to announce their godforsaken press conferences by now so that I could be able to go ahead to set off the time if I can.
Yeah, we should be hearing about it pretty soon, man. But no, yeah, Michael, take some time off, dude. You're like one of the hardest coworkers I've ever had the pleasure of working with, man. Hardest working dude right here, Michael. No days off, Michael. That's what I'm gonna say, man.
I keep getting that, so I want to be the very best like no one ever was, Chad. Left and right, but it's like, no. There are much harder working people than me. I'm just a cog in the wheel that just makes sure that everything just keeps turning. Beyond that, I can't, everyone keeps telling me to give myself credit. I feel like that I don't need to give myself credit because as long as I get to do what I'm able to do, I'm happy. And I don't need anything beyond that, honestly.
Yeah,
but I am probably going to set up that time for myself, though, either way.
You're very modest, man, and I think that's why I was able to connect with you and on a really friend level. So I appreciate you, dude, so much. Junkie just in time said Pokemon theme song. Michael wants to be, or he is the best there ever was. There can be only one, right?
Hey, there's only one of me. Trust me, the world cannot tolerate two of me. It's not that the world can't handle two of me; it won't tolerate it. Period.
Michael,
I
man,
wouldn't tolerate it.
Thank you so much, man, for coming on tonight. I need to say thank you to Junkie, Miss Deborah, for swinging by. Thank you to the moderators, Nonchalant, Michael, who's here with us right now. Thank you to Parajess, of course. And we had another mod up in the house earlier. Oh gosh. Yeah, I might have lost his name there. But thank you everyone for being here tonight. Appreciate y'all. Thank you to, of course, Devin. Hope everything's going good, Devin. LERA, Gabe. Thank you guys so much. I missed some names just because oh, Jay Bay, thank you so much again, dude, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Jason Bourne, appreciate everyone. I missed some names because Streamlabs doesn't save too much of the chat here, but thank you for everyone who joined us tonight. And I'm gonna go hard on putting the timestamps on for the stream. That takes a couple of hours. And Annabelle, yes, Annabelle, fellow moderator, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. I do what I can to be at least tolerable to listen to.
Thank you guys.
I hope I don't hop on too many tangents.
And then we're gonna have Stock Tracker here with us, but on the first Saturday of each month. And then I'm gonna get in touch with Michael again, see if he wants to come on with us again. I appreciate you guys.
I mean, whenever you want me to come on, just feel free to send a message and I'll be there.
Nice. Michael, man, I hope you have an awesome night, dude. Thank you again so much, dude. Happy gaming.
As well. Yep. Hope you have a lovely night as well, Mr. Metz.
All right, man. Guys, we're gonna see you later, man. Stay safe and stay awesome. You're cool. Yeah.